Hello everyone. Today I'm gonna explain about adverbial phrase, and adverbial clause. But before that, let me introduce myself. My name is Nimade Ayu Sri Sudharmadi, and I'm from class A1 Denpasar in my third semester. First, I want to explain about adverbs. So, what are adverbs? Adverbs is a word that modify a verb, an adjective, or another adverb. It's neither accurate or nor very helpful, whereas it is relatively easy to define and describe what a noun or adjective is. We can only usefully define different categories of adverbs and what they look like. We form a lot of adverbs by adding ly to an adjective. For example, ably, vastly, oddly, probably, usually. In the most case, meaning of the adjective and adverbs are very close. Here's the example. In adjective, he is careful driver, and in adverb, he drives carefully. You can see the difference here. But not all words end with ly or are adverbs. The following are adjective. For example, friendly, manly, leisurely. And here I have types of adverbs. This is the category, such as manner, frequency, and so on. And this is the word of example. Next, where do adverbs comes in a sentence? The position of adverbs in a sentence are complex. Some adverbs are intrinsic part of a phrase. For example, manner, degree, quantity, and some focusing adverbs, and their position is flexible. Here is the position that can be, for example, before a whole clause, before the verb, before the main verb, after an auxiliary, at the end of the clause, before adverbials, before an adjective, and before adverb. And here the example of in sentence. Next is types of adverbs. First, we have adverb of manner. This is used to express how something is done. For example, open it quickly, close the door slowly. In adverb of manner, we also can use it for answering a question. Here the example. How did she approach them? Wildly. And the next, it's adverbs of frequency. This is used to indicate how often we do things or how often things happen. For example, always, often, usually, sometimes, occasionally, hardly, ever, seldom, rarely, never. Here the example in a sentence. You can say I always, I usually, I never, I seldom get up early on Sundays. And the next is adverbs of degree. This is used to employ in a sentence to depict the intensity of degree an adjective, verb, or another verb. And also, this adverb divide into intensifiers, which make adjective and other adverbs stronger. And also, this adverb can divide into downtoners, which make them weaker. This is the example of intensifier. We can use extremely, very, really, and totally. Here's the example in a sentence. You can say, I'm totally confused. And for the downtoners, you can use word fairly, quite, rather. We can say, they run very quickly. Or we can say, they run quite quickly. And the next, we have adverbs of quantity. This is tell us something about quantity. For example, little, a lot, much. And we generally use a little only in affirmative statements and much in a negative or question forms. We can use a lot in affirmative and negative statements and questions. For example, in a question sentence, do they complain about the service much? Or we can say, do they complain about the service a lot. Another example, she cried a lot, or we can say she cried a little. She doesn't eat much, or we can say she doesn't eat a lot. Generally, place these adverbs at the end of the clause. Next, we have adverbs of time and place. This is used to specify about times. For example, it's yesterday, today, and the place. For example, outside, underneath. Here's the example in a sentence. I need to see her now. You can stay there too long. When we use both these adverbs, we usually specify place before the time. Here's the example. She is coming here now. And for the next adverbs, we have adverbs of relative time. This is provide information about the time of an action or event in relation to some other point in time. For example, just, afterwards, soon, currently, presently, recently. Here's the example in a sentence. He is currently working in Australia. I will be there soon. Or they are just coming. And next, we have special adverbs for the example already, still, and yet. These adverbs is difficult to tie down independently of context. It often depends on assumption we make about the knowledge or expectation. For example, I already know. I'm still using it. Has she finished it yet? They haven't eaten yet. And here you can consider the difference. Do you know the result? With special adverbs, we can make it into, do you know the result yet? Which is explained, we are both waiting for it. In British English, we use already in affirmative statements and yet in negative statement and questions. Next is focusing adverbs. This is particularly dependent on the context. We use them in knowledge we share with our readers or participant conversation. We use focusing adverbs to single out information. For example, especially, even, particularly, especially. You can use focusing adverbs to express some kind of instruction, and we can use it to refer back something. Also, either, to. And here we are gonna concentrate about 3 examples of focusing adverbs. First is even. This is used to indicate that something is unexpected or reaches surprising degree or extreme. For example, everyone is lying to me, even you. And the second, only. This is used to express some kind of restriction. For example, I was only asking you a simple question. Only here, explain, I was asking you a simple question and doing no more than this. And the last is also. We use this to draw attention to the fact that we are adding information about something. For example, you have to teach the positive form of verbs and also the question forms. In focusing adverbs can refer to single words, which may belong to any word class or phrase or longer stretch of language. And next, we have attitude makers. This is used to interpret the event we describe or to convey our attitude towards them, and usually refers to whole clause or longer stretch of writing or speech. Here's the example. I will invite you naturally. Apparently, they tried to call the doctor several times. Clearly, we will want you to sign a contract. And most words which can be attitude markers also can function as adverbs of manner. Here you can see the difference between them. The first, the dog waked her till hopefully. This is manner. And the second, they will be here hopefully by 5 o'clock. And this is attitude makers. You can see the difference here. Next, we have adverbial phrase. What is that? Adverbial phrase is a group of words that function as an adverb and consists one or more words. This adverb is head of the phrase and can appear alone or it can be modified by other words. An adverbial phrase doesn't contain subject and a verb, not like adverbial clause. I will explain it later. And these are types of adverbial phrase. For the first, we have adverbial phrase of time. This states when something is happened. For example, bake the cake for about an hour. And that adverbial phrase of reasons. This states why something is done. For example, I love drawing because I want to be an artist. And the next adverbial phrase of place. This states where something happened. For example, I will put the vase over there. And the next adverbial phrase of manner. This states how something is done. For example, Sarah happily ate the cheesecake. Now we're gonna move into adverbial clause. Adverbial clause are category of subordinate clause. They're linked to main clause. Here's the example. I bought the tickets with some reservation. Sentence I bought the ticket is the main clause and with some reservation is the adverbial. The next example, I bought the tickets, even though they cost more than I want to pay. I bought the tickets is the main clause, even though they cost more than I want to pay is the adverbial. Adverbial clause start with a conjunction or we call subordinating conjunction, such as when, although, or in order that. They link two clauses of unequal importance, and some subordinating conjunction consists of one word. Here's the example. After, although, as, before, since, if, once, though, when, where's, a while. And others consist of two or more words. For example, as if, as soon as long as, in that, so that, such that. We can combine even and just with other conjunction too. Here's the example. Even if, even when, just as soon as, just when. Now we're gonna talk about the punctuation. When subordinate clause comes before the main clause, it's usually separate from the main clause by comma. Here's the example. Although it's very late, I still want to go home. You can see, although it's very late, you should put comma, and then you can continue to the main clause. I still want to go home is the main clause. Next is tense and time conjunction. After times conjunction, we use present tense to refer to the future. For example, I'll call you as soon as he arrives. Before you come in, please take off your shoes. And when we refer to events in the past, to precise information contained in the conjunction itself can also affect the tense use. We can use the simple past tense. Here's the example. Your daughter left before you wake up. And when doesn't indicate the order in which thing happens, so we often need to use the past perfect in order to show that something happened before something else. For example, your daughter had left when you woke up. Next, We have types of adverbial clause. For the first, adverbial clause of manner. This is describe how the action described in the sentence, main clause, taking place or previously took place. For example, the lawyer seemed as if she had never spoke policy before. The next adverbial clause of place. This is described where the action on the sentence main clause takes place. For example, my pet follow me wherever I went. Next, clause of condition. This is describe the condition related to the verb. Adverb, adjective in a sentence main clause. For example, we will go on a date if it's no rain. Next, clause of reason. This is tell us the reason of the action being taken in a sentence, main clause. And this is generally used the subordinating conjunction. For example, I thought you go to the concert since you love the 1978 and 75. Next, clause of purpose. Frequently involve subordinating conjunction, explain the reason to take a specific action. For example, I drove to the KFC so they could pick up the chicken. The next adverbial clause of concision. This is factor that modifies the main clause. For example, although it was cold, the heater kept us warm. Next, adverbial clause of comparison. This is to communicate how the subject of the depend clause compared to the subject in the main clause. For example, Soy can bake as well as his mother. And next is adverbial clause of time. This is used to communicate when the action in a sentence takes place. For example, they studied before they ate lunch. Okay, that's all about my presentation today. And also, I will put link in the bio, or I will share it to the WhatsApp group. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in the next one. Bye.